Hi, I'm Tom Bosley, Cub fan. Most of you know me best for happy days, but I have to tell you that some of the happiest days of my life were spent right here at Wrigley Field. Yes, sir. Like I've said, I've spent a lot of happy days at this ballpark. And some of the best were during the 1982 season when the Cubs started building their new tradition. It all began last winter.
What? Oh, don't give me that. We're building a new tradition here. I want a gamer, you understand? A gamer.
People that really, they mean business.
From the day he took over as the Cubs' executive vice president and general manager, Dallas Green let it be known that it would be a whole new ball game. The Cubs had finished with the second worst record in 1981. Only once since 1972 had they finished with a record above 500. To Green, this was nothing new. Dallas had seen a similar situation with the Philadelphia Phillies back in the early 1970s. And he also had a World Series ring from 1980 to prove that such a situation didn't have to last indefinitely.
I think an attitude and approach to work had to be changed, and I knew when I took this job that it could be done, it could be turned around.
We have one direction we're going to go in, and that's winning.
And I really expect a turnaround. People that really, they mean business.
The Chicago Cubs, summer of '82. Brought to you by Heileman's Old Style. Pure brewed in God's country, slowly and naturally.
Spring training 1982. Welcome to beautiful Mesa, Arizona. Welcome to work, gentlemen. To be sure, there were some questions that had to be answered by manager Lee Elia before his club left camp. For one, the pitching staff was a big question mark.
Up until now, we see a lot of good strength of arm. Maybe a mechanical adjustment might make the difference, and a whole lot of discussion on situation pitching. And I think if we can start funneling these three things together, we might get one or two players to blossom into the pitchers that a lot of people thought they would be years ago.
And then there was Fergie Jenkins, the ace of the staff at 38. This was Fergie's second time around with the Cubbies. Some folks wondered if the Cubs were being a bit too sentimental.
We're going to see the home run hit still, and I think this makes a lot of young fans happy when they get a chance to chase a home run ball, but other than that, my style really hasn't changed.
First baseman Bill Buckner had 75 RBIs in 1981. That was a career high for the slick-hitting ex-Dodger. What kind of a season was Billy Buck figuring on in '82?
I just hope I have the same success ratio this year as I had last year. I'm just going to give them my best efforts.
Leon Durham hoped for much of the same, too. The Cubs made a big trade a month before heading off to training camp. They sent shortstop Ivan DeJesus to the Phillies for shortstop Larry Boa and rookie infielder Ryan Sandberg. There was little question about Boa and his Golden Glove. But what about this kid Sandberg?
The trade did me a lot of good.
Another unknown commodity was Dickie Knowles. Knowles was one of the principals in the December trade at the winter meetings, which also saw the Cubs acquire Keith Moreland for pitcher Mike Krukow. Then there was the Cubs bullpen. There were no Bruce Sutters out there, or were there?
I think we're going to have a very strong bullpen, you know.
Have you ever pitched in Wrigley Field, or do you know anything about Wrigley Field?
Never been in the ballpark. I've seen it on TV, and it's kind of, I guess, the National League answer to Fenway Park over there where I came from, and I like that type of ballpark. I just like the atmosphere, and I hope I still like it after the season's over.
If we can continue to think positive, I think we're going to turn this program around. These people are really, they mean business.
There's a long drive, deep right field, way back, might be out of here. It could be in there. Holy cow, look at Bump waving. Is he excited?
Bump Wills with 2 home runs all last year, Harry, and starts off with 1 here today. Talk about exuberance, and he's got our bench on fire.
Not a bad start. The Cubs won their season opener 3-2 and went on to split the 2 games in Cincinnati. Then the Cubs left Chile, Ohio for the return voyage home to Wrigley Field, only to be greeted by an early morning snowfall in Chicago. Despite the snow and chilling temperatures, the pregame festivities were held and the game was played on time. Even if it wasn't baseball weather, it was winning baseball for Cubs fans on opening day at Wrigley Field. Final score, Cubs 5, Mets nothing. And guess what old man was the winning pitcher? Despite the big send-off, it would be a bit of a roller coaster ride for Lee Elia's men the first 2 months of '82. On some days, you wanted to take the Cub players into your heart. Then, there were the other days. Those days when nothing went right. When every ground ball seemed to find holes or bad hands. When the wind was not so friendly. On those days, well, on these days, the Cubs took the heart right out of you. There were some early season individual efforts to recall. On April 28th at Wrigley Field, pitching against the Cincinnati Reds, the Cubs' brash young right-hander Dickie Knowles came within 1 pitch of a no-hitter.
You know, I'll bet you if Steve Henderson had known that that was going to be the only hit, he'd have probably dived for that ball. It looked like he might have a chance to catch it.
Well, if he dives for it and it gets through, you got a runner at third. Plus, that ball was placed perfectly from where I seen it.
On Tuesday, May 25th in San Diego, Fergie Jenkins added another page to his already impressive Major League pitching portfolio. This time it was Gary Templeton who was party to history, Fergie's 3,000th strikeout. Jenkins was only the 7th man in baseball history to reach this milestone. There were also times in 1982 that the Cubs did things as a group. For instance, look how they spent Mother's Day. Bill Buckner and pitcher Bob Nepper exchanged greetings. Other times, life went a little more orderly for the Cubs. On May 13th in the Astrodome, the Cubs defeated Houston 5-0 for the 8,000th victory in Cubs history, the most wins ever by a pro franchise in one city. After playing 40 games, the Cubs were 6.5 games out of first place. They then took 2 games from San Francisco, won 3 out of 4 games from Houston, and then took 3 out of 5 against the Dodgers and Giants. Yes, things were looking up.
Here's the pitch. There's a long drive way back, near the wall, might be out of here. Cubs win! Cubs win! Cubs win! Holy cow! Johnny Davis against the wind, a 3-run homer. Holy cow! Everybody on their feet. Look at that happy Cubs scene. A 3-run homer. Look at the high fives being traded. Ah, happy days are here again.
Then came trouble. Make that double trouble. After that double loss to the Giants, the Cubs went on to lose 2 of 3 in San Diego to conclude the 14-game road trip. When they arrived back at Wrigley Field, guess who was waiting? The defending world champion Dodgers.
Ground ball headed for right field. Cubs win! Cubs win! Cubs win! Holy cow! Sandberg did it!
Drives in the deciding run for the second straight day.
Ryne Sandberg hit a ground ball to right, and the Cubs have made it 2 in a row over the world champion Dodgers, and they win 13 innings to do it today. Boy, oh boy, and up on the board they flash. Happy days are here again.
But happy days were not here again, at least not for several more weeks. When Fernando Valenzuela shut out the Cubs 7-0 at Wrigley Field on May 30th, before what would be the largest crowd of 1982, 34,000 plus, little did anyone imagine it would trigger a 13-game losing streak. That was one club record the Cubs did not enjoy tying. And sometimes the opposition showed no mercy on the Cubs.
There's a long drive, deep right field, gone back near the wall. It is out of here. The game is over. Wallach homers over the right field wall, the opposite field. And the 2-out base on balls turned out to be almighty important.
The Cubs left Montreal and staggered home, 13 straight losses. And next was Steve Carlton and the Phillies. Guess what? The Cubs won. The Cubs reached the '82 Cy Young winner for 6 runs and 9 hits in only 3 1/3 innings. Still, they managed to win by a 12-11 count. Some things never come easy. Cub fans weren't exactly singing championship tunes or dancing in the streets, but some would have thought the Cubs had won the pennant after beating Philadelphia 3 straight games at Wrigley Field. It was a turning point, however. They didn't know it at the time, but the Cubs were about to become respectable. In fact, more than respectable. From June 14th to the end of the season, the Cubs would go 52-50. From August until the end of the season, they would be one of the most talked about teams in all of baseball. But before the Cubs found their groove beginning on August 1st, there would be several more trials and tribulations. After going 14-14 in the month of May, the Cubs won only 8 of 28 games in June. Sometimes they looked unbeatable. Too often, though, they found ways to lose. As Lee Elia would say later, the right combinations had not been found. July came and the Cubs began to blossom. Nothing sensational yet, but there were indications of better days to come. The Cubs went to St. Louis for the July 4th holiday weekend and took 2 out of 3 from the 1982 world champions.
Watch it. Hey, that's what I was talking about. Larry Bowa, a leaping catch of the line drive, and the Cubs win it 2-1. Holy cow. Did I just say the best thing that could happen to us? Watch it once more. The runners are going. Here's Hernandez. Bang. Headed for center field. Larry Bowa. Leaping catch. Steps on second. Cubs win. Had them all the way. No doubt about it. Whoa.
The Cubs also split 4 games in Atlanta and Houston to win 4 of the 7 games on the road trip. Jody Davis had a big hand in the fun.
Base hit! Into the corner! 1 run in! 2 runs in! 3 runs trying to score! And it does! The Cubs have taken the lead. Jody going to third on the throw.
Despite an 8-game losing streak later in the month, the Cubs finished with an 11-17 record for July. They were about to launch one of the better final 2 months of baseball played by a Cubs team since 1945. And then came August, and here came the Cubs. Before the month was over, the Cubs would win 18 of 28 games, the best record in the National League East. While other teams were fighting for divisional honors, the Cubs were fighting for respectability and getting it. From August 1st through the end of the season, the Cubs went 34-24. Only one Cubs team since 1945 posted a better record after August 1st, and that was Leo DeRocher's 1972 club. Despite hitting into a triple play against the New York Mets, the fun began against the boys from Fun City, and it continued against the Phillies. Even against Montreal, whom the Cubs had trouble against most of the season, there was a reprieve. 2 wins. In August, Bill Buckner became the most talked about player in the National League. Billy Buck hit .405 with 6 homers and 7 game-winning hits, along with 35 RBIs. He won NL Player of the Month honors easily. Yes, the Cubs' first baseman brought back memories of yesteryear. And who will ever forget number 14? Ernie Banks, the first Cub ever to have his uniform number retired.
And I just want to let all of you know that the present-day Cub players and those of us who played in the past certainly thank all of you for the fine memories. I do want to thank the new Cub organization and the Tribune Company for making number 14 the first Cub uniform ever to be retired. It's a great thrill in my life.
Like the stars of the past, the '82 Cubs showed spunk. And they gave the fans their money's worth.
Goes a runner, slow, there's a drive, deep right field, might be out of here, off the wall, here comes Noah, here's the relay, it's going to be closed. Oh, the big argument, they claim he didn't get into the plate.
On this day, the Cubs went 21 innings with the Dodgers before getting a decision not to their liking.
High pop fly, right field, is it deep enough? Here's Moreland coming in, makes the catch, fires to the plate, and they ain't gonna get him out. What happened? He called him out, and then he said he dropped the ball.
Sometimes it was downright funny being in Wrigley Field. Sometimes it was scary. How would you like to be facing Lee Smith? From July 8th, when he returned to the bullpen, until the end of the season, Big Lee allowed only 4 earned runs in 43 innings, only 1 in his last 26 innings. He led the club with 17 saves and teamed with Dick Tidrow, Willie Hernandez, Bill Campbell, and Mike Crowley to form one of the best relief corps in baseball. Even the rookies made splashes. Pat Tabler came up from Iowa and hit in 7 straight games. Mel Hall not only proved he could hit, he had a 9-game hitting streak, but the speedy center fielder could also flag them down. Finally, there were also moments to treasure, moments that tugged at your heart. Remember that September day when White House Press Secretary Jim Brady came to Wrigley Field?
The Chicago Cubs, summer of '82. Brought to you by Heileman's Old Style. Pure brewed in God's country, slowly and naturally.
Yes, 1982 is the start of a new tradition, and I'm looking forward to more happy days in '83. Come to Wrigley Field. We'll surprise the daylights out of you.
I've been a Cubs fan all my life.
Me out to the buy me some peanuts and Cracker Jack. I don't care if I ever get back. Oh, it's root for the Cubs. If they don't win, it's a shame. For it's one.
You have just seen Summer of '82, a film capturing some of the many exciting moments during Cub games. This is Tom Bosley again reminding you that baseball at Wrigley Field is even more fun when you come to the ballpark as part of a group. Let's take a look at what you can expect when you schedule a group outing with the Cubs. In this case, it was Bradley University Day. Special pre-reserved parking was provided, with a Cub official personally escorting the people from Peoria to the Ivy Club, where the Bradley group had arranged a pre-game party with food and refreshments catered in a private atmosphere. Your group, regardless of size, can make reservations to use the Ivy Club. Larger groups are eligible to participate in pre-game ceremonies. One of the members will have the honor of throwing out the first ball. The group leaders from Bradley enjoy meeting Cubs manager Lee Elia. All groups are welcomed by the public address announcer and featured on the message board. Cubs Director of Group Sales, Frank Maloney, a former football coach, has the honor of presenting the basketball coach of Bradley University. The folks from Peoria gained extra publicity by having an approved vocalist sing the national anthem heard around the nation before the umpire's cry of "play ball." The highlight of the day is the thrill of the game itself, a day with the Cubs at Wrigley Field. Choice seating with your friends only adds to the fun and enjoyment. Yes, you're in good company as part of your own special group. For your special day in the sun, call the Cubs Group Sales Office, 281-5050. This is Tom Bosley saying, see you at the ballpark.